Hey, what's going on, fellas and ladies? DFS 5-pack, Bellman and Kostrowski back in the fold. Ready to talk a little NBA for the two-game slate. Showdowns and stuff like that. We'll do our best, just kind of like idea like how we think the games are going to play out, and you can do your best to take that information into, if you're playing a showdown tonight or tomorrow night.
We basically are breaking the games down like that anyways. I mean, it's almost like a double showdown video. The pricing's similar on a game-to-game basis. Obviously, when you're playing the showdowns, you need to look a little bit deeper because you got to play, some guys that you probably wouldn't play on these slates. However, on the same point, like showdowns, what you play 5 or 6 guys. On this, you got to play 8, so it's similar.
Speaking of showdowns, congratulations to a couple of long-term 5-pack members. Ryan Monks for the takedown last night. I know he won a GPP on the showdown. Won it by a good 6 or 7 points, too. He put Middleton in the captain spot, which was not the popular build, and obviously Middleton had a real nice game. And then he played a couple of scrubs to go along with it. And then Daniel Allen is also a long-term customer who's been kind of in fight the last 3 days, and it's just been missing like major 50,000 GPP wins by like a point or two in 3 straight days, which is rough, but still have some nice results.
Yeah, that's showdown though. Like the difference of having one guy in captain and not. I mean, oftentimes in these GPPs are a big difference.
All right, so let's take a look at tonight's game. We got the Clippers down 3-1, heading back to Phoenix. I was literally just listening to some of the national media heads talk about this game, and I thought they brought up a kind of an interesting point that I don't think I had been thinking about as much before that, and that is Paul George, who's not been shooting the ball well in this series. I'm hard on Paul George. If you want to call him playoff P and all those things that go along with it, fine. But they were at the point, like, he didn't sign up for this to be the guy and have to play 42 minutes a game. He's probably emotionally and physically drained at this point because he leads all players in the NBA for minutes in this postseason. And, like, he's a human being. That's a lot. Now, going back to Phoenix tonight, like, I expect him to be out there for big minutes, but it is possible he just has nothing left as a basketball player because you've asked him to do so much lately.
I'm not really buying that, to be honest. I mean, why would he not have anything left tonight, but he did 2 games ago? I mean, these guys are built for this. Like, it's game 5 in the playoffs. You think he's going to, like, I don't know. He hasn't shot the ball well, but he's playing really well besides that. I mean, the Clippers were in this game, game 4 from, till the last second. I think the Clippers could very well win this game.
I could definitely see the Clippers winning. I do think if it's a route, though, it's a Phoenix route.
Agreed. I mean, it's at home. If anything, the Clippers could be just, I think it would be more the Clippers as a team have that mindset, not necessarily Paul George, where they're just all, again, they're down 3-1. They don't really see they can come back. Maybe if they get down early, but not necessarily on Paul George. I think if anything, like, he's going to shoot well one of these games.
And their point was, like, maybe he's not choking. Maybe it's just the fact that, like, you've asked him to do so much. And this team has been fighting uphill since going down 0-2 to Dallas. That's so mentally draining to have to, like, just have your back against the wall for so long. And that was kind of the point as to why they were both picking the Suns. You know what I mean? Is like, this team has been doing the impossible for like almost a month now. And that is just so taxing on a person.
It is. But I mean, doesn't mean that it can't be done.
No. 80 to 84 last game. My God, was that ugly. That was some 80s basketball for you right there. Not just in the scores, but just in the general way that game broke down. Holy cow, could either team make a shot?
Yeah, and I think, honestly, this is a big game for Phoenix to close it out here.
I mean, if I'm the Suns, I'm up for this. Close it out at home. Get rested for the finals. Because even if you feel like Milwaukee wins the next 2 games, like, you still get this long rest then. Get your older guys like Chris Paul and Jay Crowder completely ready to go and rock in the finals. I do think it's a get-up spot for the Suns to close out at home right here and not to give them any life.
I completely agree. Don't really want to give this Clippers team life because then you're going back to LA. If Clippers win this, I expect them to win game 6.
I think Kawhi's coming back anytime soon. I know they're being super quiet about it, but you don't want to like tempt fate and all of a sudden Kawhi Leonard shows up game 7. He's ready to roll.
Right. It seems like he's like out for, till next year, but I have no idea.
Well, so I was listening to people talk about this yesterday, and a knee sprain is the best information we have on what his injury is. And they say a knee sprain is typically at least 2 to 3 weeks that you're out. Well, it's now been 2 weeks. But because, Kawhi's got his issues with the team doctors and he's seeing private doctors on the side, there doesn't seem to be good information. And the Clippers are probably just being strategic and not giving you the information they do have, because why would they? So I have no clue. It is being as quiet as a church mouse on this one.
Yeah, agreed. I have no idea.
Now, as far as the individual Clippers players go, I think you should be leery of everybody with the exception of Reggie Jackson, Paul George, and Zubac. And what I mean by that is they're desperate right now. I think Terrence Mann could have a big game. I also think Luke Kennard could have a big game. I don't think it's possible Rondo plays bigger minutes tonight. We don't really know. Lou has messed with the rotation a bunch of these role players could, they're going to be desperate tonight. So if Beverly's just not making any shots, Reggie Jackson might just have the ball the whole time. Or Rondo will come in all of a sudden and be distributed. Or maybe they go to Cousins out of nowhere. So I feel pretty safe with Zubac, who's been fantastic the last 3 games. And clearly they feel like they need him to try to stop Ayton, even though it didn't work last game. But I'm also not flabbergasted if they go small at some point tonight and he's not in there.
I agree, man. You said they're desperate, and that's the biggest thing.
Right? Like the 2 guys that I know will play big minutes are Reggie Jackson and Paul George. And I think Zubac will play bigger minutes because they don't have a lot of options right here because Morris is not himself and everything like that. But he would be out of the game before Reggie or Paul George.
Agreed.
Man, Reggie Jackson. A nice little run in the playoffs. This guy's made himself some money. I know he shot 8 of 24 last game, but that's actually good by that game standards.
For sure.
Anyways, that's how I view the Clippers. As far as the Suns go, Ayton has gotten a big price bump, but has really earned the big price bump. Back at home tonight. I don't expect 61, but we knew it was a mismatch when the series started because he's too fast for Zubac and just too big for everybody else. Yeah. I don't think he's out of play at 7,500.
Me neither. It is really interesting how Ayton and Trae Young, both teams have gotten maligned for taking those guys ahead of Luka, trading for Luka or taking them ahead of Luka. And now these guys are deep in the playoffs, and Ayton looks like a stud right now.
After last game, Ayton came out and said Chris Paul's the best thing that ever happened to my career, which is an interesting point that sometimes these young guys just need to be in the right spot. And maybe for a mismanaged Suns team that didn't have a lot going on, he didn't see the best of Ayton. Now he gets this wily veteran that puts him in a great spot, ups his confidence. All of a sudden, he feels like the man out there. It's always wondering which way the path could go for some younger players. They're going to be superstars no matter what you do with them. But some guys need to be put in the best spot. And now you're seeing the best of DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, and he's a massive human. So he helps them inside, that's for sure. This Phoenix team is good, like you've said all along.
Ayton has shot 57, 69, 80, and 71% in the series. So I do think his price tag will keep people a little off of him as they try to stud up to the Giannis's and Paul George's of the world. So you're not going to get him at low ownership, but maybe lower than he should be.
Mm-hmm.
If given the option between Chris Paul or Devin Booker, give me Chris Paul. I worry about Devin Booker with the broken nose, still getting used to the mask, doesn't like it, ditched it, could get hit in the face again, blah, blah, blah. I could see a big game from Chris Paul here, but I don't think either of them are priorities for me.
I agree.
And then it's much of the same more with Crowder and Bridges. They're both capable of big games, but I can't really imagine myself playing either of them.
Same. It's hard to prioritize them, I'll say that.
I concur. All right, so let's move over to the game for tomorrow night. My Bucks taking on the Atlanta Hawks. You got game 2 in Atlanta, and this one's going to be difficult to speak on because I fully expect Trae Young to at least give it a go, but without knowing, quote unquote, how healthy he is, I don't know what to expect out of him. It clearly hindered him in the fourth quarter after he left that game with the ankle injury. It is completely possible, because it didn't look that bad, that he's a lot better for the next game. Or it got a lot worse and he's completely worse. I have no way to know this.
Yeah, agreed. I think that it's really hard to speak on the other Atlanta guys because I also think he plays, but difficult to know how effective he is.
And this puts them in a rough situation because, Bogey clearly is not himself either. That knee injury is really hindering him. And this is a guy who was dropping 30 spots, or at least upper 20s every single game. And then he's just been nothing lately. 3 of 16 last night. Like, he's just not even close to healthy. So, once again, injuries weighing a very heavy cloud on the NBA playoffs this year. As a Bucks fan, look, man, I ain't mad about it. But if we went on to win the chip this year, like, it's not one of the hardest paths of all time, to say the very least.
No, but I mean that doesn't matter. So
nobody will remember in 20 years, but this is not LeBron coming back from down 3-1 against Golden State or anything like that.
No, it's not. But I mean, not all titles are like that. I mean, sometimes it's the war of attrition.
All right. I do think you keep your eyes peeled on Lou Williams, and the more you find out about Trey, the more he might become in play. We just don't know at this point, but if Trey Young is hobbled at best, Lou Williams might become a necessity. They put the game in the hands of Kevin Huerter last night, and Huerter got a ton of assists. And quite frankly, like, I don't know. I don't think having Kevin Huerter be your key distributor of the ball is any way to win a game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you right there.
So until we know more about Atlanta, that's going to be a tough one to speak on. Collins spent the whole night last night in foul trouble, or at least the whole second half. Missed almost the whole third quarter when he picked up his fourth foul right away. That's a concern because, I mean, it's hard to not foul Giannis when he spin moves on you in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
So, all right, moving over to the Milwaukee side of things. Just like every game, Giannis is clearly in play. 59 points last night, and this comes from, I think he ended the first quarter with like 4.5 DK points because he picked up 2 quick fouls and had to sit for the second half of it. So he's always in play.
Yeah, I mean, how do you not play him on a slate like this?
It's a tough fade. Middleton, great epic fourth quarter. You and I were chit-chatting about this before the game started, like watching people like change their tune on him because of like one quarter. Like, he was awesome last night. He could be awesome again, but let's not forget he shot 6 of 23 in the first game. Like, he was just really, really good and found the zone late and was wonderful. But don't expect this to just happen necessarily again.
Agreed. I said it before last game. Maybe it's a Middleton game. Didn't expect this, but maybe it's a Middleton game again next game, or maybe it's not.
Could be. And that's one of the things you're hearing across all the national shows today. Like, he's a frustrating player because there are moments where he looks like a legit number 2, like, superstar. And you saw that last night. Then there's also a lot of this 9 of 26, 6 of 23, where you're like, who is this dude?
Yeah, exactly.
So, the guy that I like from Milwaukee a lot is Bobby Portis. Called him out last game. Now he played really well last night. Now he's less expensive. And the other thing to, like, just of note, every Milwaukee player last night had a positive plus minus except for Brook Lopez. And Portis seems better geared for this series than he was the Nets series. And he's been really good with his minutes while out there. So I think for cap space, he's probably my favorite below 4K guy.
I definitely can get on board with that.
He's a good DFS player.
Yeah.
Like, you look at like PJ Tucker, who will play more minutes. Like, Bobby Portis is 10 times the DFS player that Tucker is.
Not even close.
So you probably didn't see PJ Tucker's made 3 last night?
I did not.
It was the flukiest 3-pointer of all time. He was running on 1 foot and threw a lob to Giannis, and it actually just made the 3-point shot.
Wow.
It was pretty funny. I definitely got a nice chuckle out of it. They're like, yeah, he clearly did not intend to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure he did not.
He is the most uncoordinated guy when it comes to trying to, like, finish in the lane. Like, there's a reason this guy only takes corner threes, because I feel like almost anybody listening to this might be as graceful trying to, like, make layups and stuff like that.
And it's impressive that he's made a nice career in the NBA being like that.
Agreed, right? Just nothing. I mean, he is your true 3-and-D guy. Great, defensive intensity. Used to be a better 3-point shooter, but he can make those corner threes. And it is impressive. He's been in the NBA for 10 plus years now.
For sure.
Drew had a bad game last night offensively, but he had been cooking earlier in this slate or early in this series. So I don't mind, like, going here again, especially knowing, like, if Trey Young is out there, like, he should get some weak defense.
I'm with it.
He didn't shoot a lot last night because he wasn't shooting well. He was just off.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as Brook Lopez goes, I've liked some things that I've seen out of him, but the issue is the way that they run the pick and rolls on Atlanta, he becomes a liability. So
Yeah.
don't expect him to see extra minutes anytime soon.
No, agreed. I mean, maybe it changes a little bit if Trae Young's really hobbled, but I'm with you.
Yeah, he's, there's matchups on mediocre guys like this, and this just doesn't appear to be his series. So he might also struggle against Phoenix. They run a lot of the same pick and roll type of stuff where you allow Chris Paul and Devin Booker to get into that mid range where he can't come up on them. So I think he might have issues in the next series too if it is Suns Bucks.
It's a shame.
So, anywho, Pat Connaughton, he's another guy. He's a look if you're trying to go really heavy on the stars, but really far from a must. But he's out there.
You can always make the case for just using all these studs, though.
Yeah, man, if you like Paul George, Chris Paul, Ayton, Giannis, or whatever it might be, you're gonna have to play guys like that.
No doubt.
So, all right, guys, good luck tonight and tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.